Welcome to the exploration of the 10 most rapidly deteriorating states in the United States. We will delve into the world of natural disasters and economic crises, examine specific examples, and discover how each of these states is fighting for its survival and prosperity. Prepare for a journey that will open your eyes to the real problems facing America today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon. Which regions of America are threatened by climate change, destructive human activity, and economic turmoil? Where should you definitely not move? You are about to find out. 1. Obstacles that the economy and environment of the state of California are currently facing today. The state of California, which is one of the states with the highest population and the most developed economy, is currently facing a significant number of challenging obstacles. The most pressing concerns on the agenda are the occurrence of wildfires, droughts, and the erosion of coastal areas. Wildfires have become a yearly occurrence, and they are responsible for significant damage to ecosystems as well as the economy. Wildfires are also responsible for the destruction of the environment. Dry spells have a negative impact not only on agriculture, which is one of the most significant industries in the state, but also on other industries. Concerns regarding the existing infrastructure. Strong seismic activity poses a significant threat to the infrastructure of the state of California, which is located in the United States. Due to the fact that earthquakes have the capability of causing the destruction of buildings and roads, it is essential to make substantial investments in the construction of structures that are resistant to earthquakes. Threats to the surrounding environment in the state of Louisiana. Because of its location on the coast of the Gulf of Mexico, Louisiana is particularly vulnerable to hurricanes and flooding. This is because of the state's unique geographical position. Hurricanes such as Katrina, which struck in 2005, are responsible for a significant amount of damage, not only to the economy but also to the humanitarian sector. Cliff erosion is a phenomenon. The rate of erosion that is occurring along the coastline of Louisiana is reaching alarming proportions. Entire land areas are disappearing as a consequence of erosion and rising sea levels, which poses a threat to both the infrastructure that is already in place and the residential areas that are currently inhabited. The third issue is the changing climate in Florida. The state of Florida is confronted with a variety of difficulties as a consequence of climate change. These difficulties include the phenomenon of rising sea levels and an increase in the frequency of hurricanes. The consequence of this is that coastal areas become flooded, which in turn leads to the destruction of infrastructure. Cliff erosion is a phenomenon. Additionally, the beaches of Florida, which are an essential component of the tourism industry, are prone to erosion, which necessitates significant expenditures for the purpose of shore reinforcement and restoration. This expense is necessary because the beaches are susceptible to erosion. In the state of Mississippi, the socioeconomic deficits are as follows. Mississippi is one of the poorest states in the United States, which makes it difficult for the state to recover from natural disasters and restore its infrastructure. This is because Mississippi is one of the states with the highest poverty rate. There is a consistent occurrence of flooding throughout the state, particularly in the area that is located in close proximity to the Mississippi Delta, predicaments that arise in the environment. In addition, the state's economy is experiencing significant difficulties as a result of the loss of agricultural land and the erosion of the soil. 5. The alterations coming to Alaska's climate. Alaska is one of the states that is particularly vulnerable to the effects that climate change will have on the world. It is inevitable that the melting of permafrost will lead to the destruction of infrastructure, which will include the destruction of buildings and roads. In addition to this, it is a threat to the traditional way of life that indigenous peoples have been living for generations. Issues that are affecting the economy. As a result of its dependence on the oil and gas industry, Alaska is facing economic challenges. This is the case despite the fact that the state possesses a large quantity of natural resources. Because of the fall in the price of oil and the shift toward renewable energy sources, the state's economy is in a precarious position. This is true because of both of these factors. When oil revenues fall, there is less money available to invest in social programs and infrastructure. This makes it more difficult to make investments. Factors that are associated with the culture and society the indigenous peoples of Alaska, such as the Inupiat and the Aleuts, are suffering as a result of the adverse effects of climate change, which are causing them to experience suffering. Hunting and fishing are two traditional methods of subsistence that are becoming increasingly difficult to practice as a result of the melting of ice and permafrost. Additionally, the state is confronted with demographic challenges, one of which is the migration of young people to other regions in search of better available opportunities. 6. The obstacles to overcome. Confronting the infrastructure of Texas and the climate. Texas, the second largest state in the United States, is prone to experiencing natural disasters on a regular basis. Some of the natural disasters that Texas is prone to experiencing include hurricanes, floods, and drought episodes. The infrastructure suffers significant damage as a result of these occurrences, particularly in regions that are situated along the coast. When Hurricane Harvey flooded large areas and caused damage worth billions of dollars in 2017, the state was put in a position where it was in danger of experiencing extreme weather conditions. The occurrence of this event demonstrated the state's vulnerability to weather of this kind. The economic and energy sectors are facing difficulties. Because Texas is the state that produces the most oil and gas in the United States, its economy is vulnerable to shifts in the cost of energy. This is because Texas is the state that produces the most oil and gas. In order to make the transition to renewable energy sources like wind and solar, substantial financial investments and a significant amount of time are required. A number of problems with water supply are also present in the state, particularly in the regions that are characterized by aridity. At number 7, the urban and environmental challenges that Michigan is currently facing. The state of Michigan, and particularly the city of Detroit, which is the largest city in the state, is facing significant challenges on both the economic and social fronts. A rise in the number of buildings that have been abandoned and a deterioration in the state of the infrastructure have both been brought about as a consequence of the population decline and the deindustrialization of the economy. One more problem that the state is dealing with is water pollution, which is especially prevalent in the Great Lakes and has a detrimental effect not only on the health of the general population, but also on the ecosystems. Concerns regarding the economies. There has been a significant increase in the number of people living in poverty and unemployment as a direct consequence of the closure of factories and businesses. When there is a decrease in the amount of money collected from taxes, it becomes more challenging to maintain the ability to invest in social programs and infrastructure. There are also problems that arise in the automotive industry, which is one of the most important industries in the state. And these problems have a negative impact on the economy. In the state of West Virginia, the extraction of coal is a resource that contributes to economic challenges and dependence. Throughout the course of West Virginia's history, the coal mining industry has been a primary source of employment and economic growth. As a result, the state has traditionally been dependent on this industry. On the other hand, a significant economic decline has taken place as a consequence of the decreasing demand for coal, the closure of mines, and the process of transitioning to cleaner sources of electricity. There have been ongoing issues in the state, such as high unemployment and persistent poverty, which have emerged as persistent problems. Environmental dangers that pose a threat to the environment. With regard to the environmental issues that are brought about by coal mining, surface mining in particular is a significant contributor to the problems that are caused. The degradation of ecosystems and the health of the general population are both negatively impacted by the destruction of landscapes, the pollution of water sources, and the general deterioration of air quality. All of these factors contribute to the degradation of ecosystems. There have been a number of regions that have been impacted by the consequences, which include the contamination of soil and the reduction in the amount of biodiversity. Those aspects of society and culture that are associated with the factors. In addition, it is of the utmost importance to keep in mind that the social issues that the state is facing pose a significant contribution to the economic challenges that the state is currently facing. These elements contribute to the deterioration of a variety of demographic problems, such as the migration of young people and the decrease in population. Other demographic problems, such as extremely high rates of poverty, restricted access to high-quality education and healthcare, and other problems, are also caused by these factors. The state of Oklahoma is susceptible to both natural disasters and industrial hazards. Both of these situations are possible. For example, tornadoes and severe storms are just two examples of the types of severe weather that can occur in the state of Oklahoma. The state of Oklahoma is frequently affected by severe weather, including tornadoes and severe storms. They have the potential to cause significant damage to homes and infrastructure, which will necessitate significant financial investments in the process of recovery and the strengthening of protective systems. These natural disasters have the potential to cause significant damage. There is a possibility that these natural disasters will result in significant damage on the environment. Furthermore, the expansion of the oil and gas industry, in particular through the utilization of hydraulic fracturing, has led to an increase in the number of earthquakes, which has further made an impact on the infrastructure. This increased number of earthquakes has further impacted the infrastructure. Concerns have been raised about the state of the economy and the increased reliance on energy. As a result of the fact that the oil and gas industry constitutes a sizable portion of Oklahoma's economy, the state is susceptible to fluctuations in the cost of energy. The state of Oklahoma is therefore vulnerable to the effects of fluctuations in the cost of energy. In the event that oil prices continue to fall, it is possible that state revenues will decrease, and the number of opportunities for economic diversification for the state will also decrease. Both of these outcomes represent a downside for the state. Those aspects of society and culture that are associated with the factors. To put it another way, not only are social problems like poverty and restricted access to high-quality education and healthcare significant challenges for the state, but they are also significant challenges for the state as a whole. These problems, which also severely restrict the opportunities for sustainable development, make it even more difficult to deal with the economic difficulties that are currently being experienced. New York City, one of the largest and most densely populated metropolitan areas in the world, is grappling with a myriad of urban challenges exacerbated by the changing climate. The city's aging infrastructure and housing stock are at the forefront of these issues, demanding consistent and substantial investments in repairs and modernization to ensure safety and functionality. Subway system. The New York City subway system, a vital component of the city's transportation network, is over a century old. Frequent breakdowns, delays, and overcrowding are common issues faced by millions of commuters daily. The system's outdated signal technology, some of which dates back to the 1930s, is in dire need of an upgrade. Additionally, the infrastructure is vulnerable to flooding, as seen during Hurricane Sandy in 2012, which caused extensive damage to subway tunnels and stations. Affordable housing crisis. New York City faces a severe affordable housing crisis, with a shortage of available units and soaring rent prices. The high cost of living forces many residents to spend a disproportionate amount of their income on housing, leaving little for other necessities. The city's public housing developments managed by the New York City Housing Authority, NYCHA, are plagued by issues such as mold, lead paint, and unreliable heating systems, further exacerbating the housing challenges. Gentrification. Gentrification in many neighborhoods has led to the displacement of long-term residents and the loss of affordable housing options. While new developments can bring economic growth and revitalization, they often cater to higher-income individuals, driving up property values and rents and contributing to socioeconomic inequality. For those of you who are contemplating relocating to any of these 10 states in the United States, you might want to reevaluate your plans with regard to the matter before you move forward. As a result of the fact that these states are confronted with such significant challenges, living in these states can be associated with both risk and difficulty. There are some areas that are more likely to experience natural disasters on a regular basis, such as hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires, and floods. Natural disasters pose a risk to the residents' safety and well-being for a variety of reasons, and there are some regions that are more natural than others. These natural disasters pose a threat to the residents. Some other states are experiencing significant economic difficulties, such as high rates of unemployment and poverty, as well as a dependence on industries that are gradually declining. These states are among those that are facing these challenges. One of the many factors that are having an impact on the economy of these states is the presence of these challenges. Because it would result in more favorable conditions for both life and work, the decision to relocate to a location that is more secure and stable could prove to be a prudent choice. This is because the conditions would be more favorable. Due to the fact that the relocation would bring about these conditions, this is the case.